this vision in my head to build this tiny pink Cadillac. I had a team of 5 and we all donned a pair of pink overalls with the Bad Girl Mechanics written across the back, with pink spanners and pink checkerboard flags. I let people in to see the real me.
Okay.
Include people in the conversation about my mental health and my struggles in my personal life, especially not the running of a business. I ran headfirst at it.
Definitely in at the deep end.
What's the point in having your own business and doing something for yourself if you can't run it how you want to? We call it scheming. Often it involves going to the pub.
But it's not just a dress shop, is it?
It feels like going back in time. You are met by checkerboard floor, the sound of rock and roll kind of spills out of the shop. I think it's so important as a small business to connect with your community. That is one of my core values in my shop. It's built on a foundation of inclusivity and kindness.
In this episode, we meet Emma Haigh, the owner of Jailhouse Frock, and we hear about the Bad Girls Club, is Lincoln ready for a pink motel, and the popularity of vintage fashion. And it's brilliant today to have Emma Haigh from Jailhouse Frock.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Brilliant. So tell us a bit about your business, Jailhouse Frock.
Yeah, okay. So I have been going nearly 2 years now. I opened at the end of January 2023. Jailhouse Frock is a fabulous pink retro shop, but it's so much more than that. Inspired by the styles of the 40s and 50s. So I sell vintage reproduction clothing in that kind of style, very mid-century. I am based in the Cornhill quarter of Lincoln. I'm the pink one next to the Son of the Fish Chippy.
So nobody can miss you. I mean,
Nobody can miss me.
Really obvious, right?
Yes, and also the temptation for fish and chips is
that's a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Yeah. People walking past fish and chips and
I meant for me, John.
Oh, for you? Oh, right. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. No, I could see that. So every day that temptation of fish and chips.
Yeah.
So why the 40s and 50s? What attracted you to that era?
So my shop was kind of born out of that last lockdown in 2021. I know lots of people kind of had epiphanies in that time as well, and I had a real good time to think about what I wanted and what made me happy. And in sixth form years ago, I kind of discovered the 50s, and I've always dressed quite alternative. I've never followed a fashion. And when I went to university, I lost a lot of my style, my sense of style, because I think I was scared about what people would think. So I just stopped dressing that way and lost myself a bit.
Right.
And in that lockdown in 2021, I realised I had a good time to think about what made me happy, and dressing this way with my red lipstick and my hoops and petticoats and, kind of iconic styles of the 50s made me really happy. And I also have always wanted my own business. I've always wanted to be my own boss and do something for myself. All of my family are in business, and it has always felt like my calling to almost follow in their footsteps.
Right.
And so my partner and Jeremy and I, we call it scheming, where we sit. Often it involves going to the pub, but we couldn't do that in lockdown. So we'd sit on the sofa and have a good think about my future and what I wanted. And to have something of my own was what I wanted. And we went through all the kind of possibilities, a cafe. I don't know. We even discussed possibly me running a bar, which would be awful. But then Jeremy suggested a shop. And to start with, I thought, God, I don't want to be sat behind a till all day, kind of trapped. And but the more we thought about it, the more we thought, actually, I could really make it my own and do what I want with it. And Jailhouse Frock was born.
Right. So had you had any experience in retail before you opened your shop? Yeah,
I worked in, only a little bit though. I worked in Doddington Hall from the age of about 15 in their cafe, but then went to work in their country clothing shop.
Oh, yeah.
And then I went and worked at John Lewis at university as well. But other than that, not really, especially not the running of a business. I ran headfirst at it.
So that was it. You're definitely in at the deep end, opening a shop.
Yeah.
Just as we came out of lockdown, that must have been a real challenge.
Yeah. So I didn't actually open for a couple of years after having that kind of idea. It took 2 years of scheming and business plans and learning how to run a business. And then, last year, 2023, I opened.
You actually opened?
Yeah.
So why Lincoln? What was it about Lincoln that you thought actually this shop would work here? So why did you pick Lincoln for your business?
I've lived in Lincoln my whole life.
Right.
I'm very proud of my city. I'm born and bred here. When I was at school, so many of my friends couldn't wait to leave the city because it's small, boring, or at least it was, or they thought it was. And I don't know, I've always had this connection with my city. I love Lincoln so much and I'm very proud of it. And so it was kind of a no-brainer for me. There was no other option. Lincoln, it was always going to be Lincoln. And we don't have anything like what I'm doing in the city. So we do have obviously alternative shops and people doing things that aren't high street brands, independent retail, but nothing like what I'm doing. So yeah.
I think that's a really interesting point, because I think your shop, I mean, it's always dangerous to talk about something as being unique. Mm-hmm. But as I say, if I walk around, and I'm not that particularly interested in 40s and 50s fashion, no offence, but as I walk around the city centre, I don't see anything quite like Jailhouse Frock. But it's not just a dress shop, is it? You do so many other things.
I do.
Tell me a bit about that.
I do. So when we were kind of looking at the idea of a shop, I was very conscious that the high street, especially in kind of recent years, probably since the 2000s, has been struggling with the rise of online shopping, fast fashion. People don't see the appeal in going shopping anymore. But then I had a look at what's on offer, especially big high street brands, and it's all fluorescent lighting, so much choice that you don't even know where to start. It's overwhelming. It's not a nice experience. It's a get in, get out, get what you need and leave. And so it was important to me to create something really different, something that stood out and something that people couldn't ignore. When I worked at John Lewis, we had this training called Surprise and Delight. Right. And it's all about going the extra mile for your customer, doing something that they don't expect, that makes them feel really special. And so I did that kind of, I've tried to cover that in all areas of my business. So first of all, the experience when you come in, my shop is very quirky. It feels like going back in time. So you are met by a checkerboard floor, the sound of rock and roll kind of spills out of the shop. I've got vintage car parts as my shelving. My dad's made me these shelves out of chrome car bumpers. Wow. I've got, my partner Jeremy and I made a jeans jukebox. So we've made a jukebox display that shows my jeans off. So it's so much more than, it's an experience. It's vibrant, it's fun, it's neon, it's sparkly and great. But as well as that, I have created more of an experience by how I run my shop. So it's more than just a retail experience.
Yeah, I mean, you do a personal shopping service, I think. Is that correct?
I did. But I provide that service anyway as people come into the shop. Right, so anybody that comes in, I can provide that service. I was doing personal shopping where people could book into the evenings, but it wasn't proving to be super popular because I do that anyway in the shop kind of day to day. And also it felt, I don't know, maybe a bit dangerous being in the shop by myself after hours. I can
understand that. So
I've knocked that on the head, but provide that service anyway. But going on from what you said about it being more than just a shop, I call my customers the Bad Girls Club. With it being Jailhouse Frock, kind of is in keeping with that. And I do lots of things within that kind of thing. So I do events as well.
Okay, tell me a bit about the events then. Yeah,
so last year I held a fashion show in a gin bar in The Pessimist, one of the local ones. We put staging in and did a vintage fashion show, and people could have gin and food and watch a fashion show, which was great. I've done a couple of Halloween parties as well. So I did the first one last year, and then it's grown this year, which is great, at Southside. So not particularly vintage, but kind of keeping with the fun and playfulness of my shop. So it was hosted last year by drag queens, and we did party games and had sweets, and it was very much like a kids' Halloween party for adults. So that nostalgia that you felt as a kid, that I feel like Halloween is either terrifying or you go and get really drunk in a club, and there's nothing in between for adults. So my Halloween party kind of provides that middle space for adults who want to have fun at Halloween.
So Jailhouse Frock is not just a dress. In fact, to call it just a dress shop would be really to undersell everything that you do. So how important is it to have that connection with the community, both the community in and around your shop and the community of people who come in and buy things from you?
It's so important to me. As I said, I love my city. I love my customers. I like to make people feel special and like they're part of something. And that's what the Bad Girls Club is. But I love to get involved with my community as well. Like I did, the Crazy Races came to the city in September, and I entered a team. And when they announced it last year, I was so excited. And we got planning, and my dad's really handy actually. So he helped me build it. And I've had this vision in my head to build this tiny pink Cadillac.
Right.
And so we built a tiny pink Cadillac, and I had a team of 5, and we all donned a pair of pink overalls with the Bad Girl Mechanics written across the back, with pink spanners and pink checkerboard flags. And my partner Jeremy joined in as well. He was the driver because I was too scared to go.
I was going to say, did you actually drive this pink Cadillac? No,
I didn't. He said I'd have been fine, but when it was going to be down Spring Hill, I just thought, God, I'll crash this. So he is in charge, but we did like a little dance routine at the beginning, and Jeremy's such a good sport. He like put lipstick on before going down, a little mirror, and so I think it's so important as a small business to connect with your community, and so I love to do things like that.
So what are the challenges? I mean, you said you opened last year in 2023. So what are the challenges of being a small business? And really, how have you overcome some of those as you've developed and moved forward?
Yeah, so I think obviously one of the biggest challenges is competing with online.
Yeah.
And people finding it cheaper to shop online, being able to send things back for free. But word of mouth is a wonderful thing. I think it's one of the best marketing tools. And as soon as one person's had a good experience, they'll go and tell all of their friends.
Absolutely.
So it's quite funny that lots of my customers are friends of friends of friends or daughters or mums and who have enjoyed the shop, and it kind of spreads like wildfire. So word of mouth is brilliant to kind of combat that, people just shopping online. What's another challenge? Lots of the brands I sell, when I buy, sometimes because people are used to being able to go into a really big shop and get what they want, and then maybe even their size will be in the next day or when they next get a big order. Because my shop is so small, I've got such a small boutique, when I order a run of dresses in, I can only order like a specific amount of sizes because of cash flow, because that's the money that I have, because I have to buy everything up front.
Yeah.
Sometimes people come in and they think, I'll just get that next week. But with a small clothing boutique, it doesn't work like that. If you love something, just get it. Just get it there and then, because it might not be in the week after.
You need impulse buyers.
You do.
Not people who think about it.
I do. Just get it.
It's the way I shop. I just go and grab what I want and walk out.
I do. I need that. So I think it's that lack of understanding. I should probably do a piece on that really on my social media about how if you like it, get it, or you can put something aside to the next week if you are waiting for payday. People think that I can just order it in, but lots of the brands I sell have minimum order quantities. So if I do an order with them, I have to order hundreds of pounds worth rather than just one item. So that's one of my biggest challenges, I think.
You just mentioned your social media presence. So do you use a lot of social media? I mean, how do you promote the business? I mean, obviously, if it's a bright pink shop, people will notice it if they're walking past. But how do you use social media to promote? I love
social media. I've become known as a bit of a social media girly. Right. I love it so much. So I have quite a good following on Instagram. I have a lot of fun on Instagram. I'm from an acting background, so I've got a lot of confidence. I just like to mess about. I think sometimes when people have businesses, they think it has to be very serious and very professional. And I call myself professionally unprofessional. Right. Because obviously I do all the right things and I don't know, emails and admin and stuff, but I like to have fun. And what's the point in having your own business and doing something for yourself if you can't run it how you want to? And that's when I have some of my biggest pinch me moments. You know, I'm so proud to have something that I've built up from the ground. When I'm running around making a stupid reel or lip syncing to a song or, I don't know, dancing about with an umbrella in the street to get some content, that's when I have my pinch me moments that this is my job. This is how I earn my living. And that makes me really proud. So I also talk to my customers every day on my social media stories, say hello and ask people how they are. And I keep it very informal and like a conversation. I let people in to see the real me.
Okay.
Because I think I can use my social media as a platform to speak about important things, like include people in the conversation about my mental health and my struggles in my personal life. And people really resonate with that and appreciate that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting, because I think one of the features I know about your business is it's very inclusive. Mm-hmm. So I know that you do a lot of work with the LGBT plus community.
Yeah.
You and that's part of your events. You talked about having drag queens. Why is that so important for your business?
Because at the end of the day, I think we can bypass all politics and all that kind of stuff and just go back to the basics of just being kind. Why can't we just be kind? And that is one of my core values in my shop. It's built on a foundation of inclusivity and kindness. And, you know, I want people to feel safe shopping with me, regardless of who you are, how you identify, any of that. It's about making people feel special, regardless of who you are. And that's why the Bad Girls Club, my shop, is a safe space for everybody.
That's really interesting. I think that kind of value-led business mentality, and we see it increasingly in a number of businesses, not only here in Lincoln, but across the world even, that people are thinking about the values that that they have and how that relates to what they do.
Yeah, I think it's so important. It's so important.
So you're based in the Cornhill Quarter.
Yeah.
You've lived in Lincoln all your life.
Yeah.
So how do you think the city's changed? Because you chose to go into the Cornhill Quarter just after it had been finished, I guess.
Yeah, it's rapidly, isn't it? I think after COVID, Lincoln's just on this upwards trajectory, isn't it? It's just flying. Every week there's something new, something exciting happening. I think we've burst out of those lockdowns, kind of just running. And it's amazing to see the Cornhill has made such an impact to the city. When I was thinking about opening the shop obviously 3-4 years ago now, I knew it was going to be the Cornhill. I knew it had to be the Cornhill.
Oh, right, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So why? Why the Cornhill?
I saw the Everyman go up. I saw all that work happening. I can't remember when they started that. Was it just before lockdown?
I think it probably was, yeah. Yeah, I think some of that started before lockdown.
Because when I was a kid, when I was at school, the Cornhill was a place you'd avoid. It was a place you'd go and get the bus or walk really fast through and not look at anyone. But now it's kind of the heart of Lincoln, isn't it? There and the Bailgate frame Lincoln really nicely. And I saw all of that building work going on and just thought this is going to be something special. And it was those shops on Sinsel Street. I knew that they were going to be developed. And if you spoke to the estate agent, I was emailing every week excitedly.
Okay.
Can I come and have a look? When will it be ready? Is the work happening? And when we'd go on our lockdown walks, and Jeremy and I would always walk past the shop and try and have a look at the back and see the roofing tiles going on and work happening. And then when we were invited to go and have a look with hard hats and high vis, it was one of the best days of my life, which sounds really silly, but I was so excited.
I mean, I think the Cornhill Quarter, in fact, and particularly that row of shops in Sinsel Street, are really interesting because they preserved the heritage, which obviously is in keeping with your business. That idea of honouring and reflecting the past, but being a modern retail experience. Yeah. So it's really fitting that that's where you're located, absolutely, even if you are next to the fish and chip shop.
The Co-op have done an amazing job down there, and also I love that they can be selective about who goes in those units. You know, it's not just another vape shop or an off license or something like that. They're independent small businesses, and they've taken great care in considering who goes in those units, and it makes a big difference to the area. So yeah, I
think that's a really important point. You talk about the independent businesses, and I think one of the strengths of Lincoln, both downhill and uphill in the Bailgate, is yes, we have all of the big multiples that people want to see, but we also have some really strong local independent businesses that are a bit quirky, a bit unusual, are unique, like Jailhouse Frock.
Yeah, we do.
So that's really good. So what are the ambitions for the business? Where do you see yourself going from here?
I've got lots of pipe dreams. My friends will tell you and my family that I never sit still.
So this is more scheming. This is
loads more scheming.
Right, okay.
Every day. But this time in the pub. Not every day though.
Fair enough.
I would like to open a menswear selection. There's a third floor to my shop that currently looks like something from a Victorian nightmare.
Right.
So I need to do that up in a similar kind of style to the shop. So a menswear department. I really want to launch my own collection of clothing as well.
That's interesting, right?
Starting quite small. I considered kind of going full pellet head and looking at bigger factories and stuff. But I think keeping it small, and because I can sew, starting myself with other local seamstresses. I've been and spoken to Kay from Fabric Corner.
Okay.
So that's kind of in the pipeline. Hopefully next year I might be able to start.
Wow.
And then this is pipe dream. This is 10-year plan, pie in the sky. I'd love to have a pink motel. Like
pink motel, right, okay.
Like a boutique, really heavily themed experience B&B style thing with a diner, 50s style diner, old kind of tiki cocktail bar, and then themed but not tacky rooms.
A pink motel.
Yeah, that's my pipe dream.
Is Lincoln ready for a pink motel? I'm going to have to reflect on that one a little bit. I'm not sure. So let's just talk about your relationship with Lincoln Big. I know that you work closely with the team, and what do you think Lincoln Big brings to not just the success of your business, but to the success of the city centre? So
much. I think you looking around, there's you can see Lincoln Big everywhere. You know, in the signage, the flowers in the summer, the security. We'd be lost without them, I think, you know, and there's seeing the portfolio that they've sent out in the recent months, there's so much that I didn't even realise that they did, and how they're kind of the backbone behind the businesses in the city. They've supported me so much, you know, from they gifted me my spot to the crazy races very kindly. Right. I don't think I'd have been able to afford to have that experience without them. I got a lovely Christmas garland as well, right, which is going outside the front of my shop with bows tied in it this year. Pink bows by any chance? Absolutely. Oh, how did I know? Yeah, just so much, and fun as well. They bring so much fun to the city. Like over Halloween, those monsters that go up, and the Ghostbusters that come, and then for Christmas as well. They bring so much for so many people in the city, not just businesses, but also families and the community, you know, people who come and visit the city as well. Just so much that people don't even realise that they do. Well, it's good to know that we as Lincoln Big have been able to support your business and help you grow and help you develop. So any awards? Has the business won any awards? Yeah, so this year I was very fortunate to have made it to the finals in an awards called the EVAs. Right. So it's the Enterprise Vision Awards, and it's the biggest women in business in the UK business awards. I feel like I'm just all over that, but yeah. And it was in Blackpool in September. Right. In the Winter Gardens. The Winter Gardens is so beautiful if you've ever been. No, it's incredible. Gosh. Yeah, it's like going back to the 30s, isn't it? I know. I was looking around like, oh. No, it was amazing. It must have been just almost like a bit of a busman's holiday for you going to something like that. Yeah, then, yeah. A bit. Oh, as we were driving down, Jeremy said to me, have you written a speech? And I said, no, because I'm not going to win. I'm just happy to be going. He's like, you should. And I'm like, no, Jeremy, I'm just happy to be going. And my mum and dad came as well, and the ballroom was just pink and glittery and just gorgeous. And then they got to my category, Retail Business of the Year, and they said my name. And loads of the other girls had kind of prepared speeches and stuff, and I just got on stage and cried. And I just kind of bumbled my way through saying something, and it just meant the world to me to have been really recognised by such a prestigious organisation. And then I've also recently found out, and I had no idea about this one, that I've been shortlisted for the Going Places Award in the Tourism Excellence Award in Lincolnshire. So I'm very, very excited about that. The awards are in February, so I can't wait to hear. Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I mean, it's really good to see a new business like yours and the success being recognised and what you're bringing to your customers and to the city being acknowledged and recognised. So that's really good.
Well, that's been brilliant, Emma. It's been great talking to you. Can I just ask you, we're asking all of our guests who come on the podcast if they could sum up Lincoln, what Lincoln means for them in one word. What would that word be?
Lincoln is home. Lincoln is home to me.
Lincoln is home. That's really good to hear. Well, thank you so much, Emma.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's been brilliant. And I wish Jailhouse Frock the biggest success. Obviously, it's been fantastic so far for you. It's been great hearing about your journey. And I wish you so much more success in the future.
Thank you so much, John.